Welcome back, gamers. You are watching Banished Souls. This is your Captain Cryptic speaking. So, we get asked this question quite a bit. What is the best armor in the game? What are the best weapons in the game? What is the best furniture to use in the game? That's a kind of an all-inclusive question. It's going to depend on a lot of your preferences, but we're going to help you narrow those down. So, to help us with this, we're going to go over here to the dock and I want to show you how to piece your ship together. So, the first thing you need to do is decide what ship is going to best suit your gameplay, okay? So I use a Sandbuck most of the time. This is a DPS ship, meaning it puts out a lot of damage. It's going to have some great damage effects, but it's not going to have a very strong hull, so you have to really pay attention to what you're doing, or you're going to overload it and you can potentially get blown up. Let's bring up some of our little details here. So, this is the Sandbuck. It is a medium hull. It is a DPS specialized ship. It is specialized in dealing damage and status effects. What are status effects? If you've ever played RPG games, most of them are going to be based like magic and stuff like that, whatever. This is going to deal 5,000 burning damage when you apply the blaze effect to an enemy ship. What an ablaze effect is a radius ring that will come from your ship 150 meters out. It increases the damage to the ships with the blaze effect by 50% as well. So if you come into an area, you're going to hit a ship. If you cause that blaze effect, which is very easy to do, we're going to show you some furniture used with this type of a ship as well. Anything with elemental damage is going to increase 19%. That's what you want to use, and you want to make sure that the weapons you use have a blaze effect. So you're looking at the fire bombards. They do blaze and they do the explosive damage, or the Zama 3s, or you could use like some of those long 9s that have the fire and stuff like that. Those are all going to be great options for this ship based on your gameplay. Now, should you use a bombard? Should you use the Zamas, or should you use some sort of a fire producing long 9? And that's going to be depending upon your play style. Are you more apt to shoot long distances? Do you want to be able to shoot long distances and also be able to deal massive amounts of damage close up in the game? That sounds like a great option to me. It's going to depend on you though and how your play is. So this is going to be some of the base ship ranks is a 5. We do actually have 1,750 more health on this ship than most people will, because we run a double hull plank. So we're running the Zama 3's fire bombard in the back, Leopold 3, and we are running the Ouroboros armor. So when it comes to your ships, what kind of armor do you want to use? That is the number one question that is going on right now, and it's going to depend upon your gameplay again. But let's come into Banished Ship, and I want to show you some stuff. So when we come into the armor, there is kind of a misconception. So you have a Black Prince with a rating of 420. And you're like, okay, wow, the armor is actually 1200, so that's pretty good. Explosives 35. You have 0 flooding, 18% fire. You have 0 tearing, and then 20% piercing. With the Ouroboros, you're going to get 20 explosive, 30 flooding, 30 fire, none of the tearing, none of the piercing. I'm not running into a lot of tearing or piercing weapons right now in the game. I run the Ouroboros, even though it is a lower stat and it is a lower armor rating on there. The mitigation that it has is a little bit more along with what I like to run. So you also have this Almagante effect. All right, this is going to restore 15% of whole health, is what it says while bracing. But understand, the whole health it's talking about is when you brace, you see the shield. 15% of the damage that is put into that shield, if it completely destroys it, you're going to get 15%. It's typically not going to harm the ship as long as you're bracing properly and have stamina. It's also going to restore 100% of the severe damage every second. So if you get blown up, you get sunk, you have to go back to get your cargo. By the time you reach cargo, you've usually removed all that severe damage from your ship, and you can pop a repair kit and you're good to go. Now, what can you do to offset some of the squishiness of the hull of a Sandbuck? Well, we're going to show you some of that furniture stuff. When we look at the Black Prince again, we have something called Resolute, reduces damage taken by 50% when the whole health is less than 33%. What I can tell you is I have fought ship after ship after ship using this Black Prince armor on all varieties of vessels. That 50% reduction in damage once you hit 33% doesn't mean anything. Understand, every time we cause a blaze effect, we're increasing damage by 50%, so you're still giving them 100% of the damage because you're using blaze effect with this. So it has made the Black Prince renderless, completely worthless. 18% fire is what you're getting protection there. 30% fire you're getting here. Everybody that's using a sandbuck is using some sort of a fire-based weapon. It is insane to grab a sandbuck and put flooding weapons on it because you're not taking advantage of those buffs. So that's how you would build a DPS ship. I hope that kind of explains that. And the same thing when it comes to furniture, guys. Every furniture piece is going to be something that you really like the best. So obviously we use the Lapotent schematic. That's going to not only show the enemy ships weak points on those pestilence fleets, it's going to increase the damage to weak points of any enemy ship by 10%. And guess what else it's showing you? It is showing you the PvP ships, the other player ships. If you're getting in those PvP contacts, you're going to see their weak points, and you're going to get that 10% damage added to that. A lot of people pull that off unless they're dealing with the plague fleets or La Peste. I have no idea why, guys. So the Scrapper Station, another key piece of furniture for this. For every time that you run a crew attack, which is going to be in this one throwing the fire bottles, or perhaps you're capturing the ship, you're actually going to board the ship, get that cutscene, you're going to get 8,000 whole health added back after every crew attack. And let me tell you, those ZAMs, it increases the chance of crew attack, and you are just about every other shot going to be able to throw fire bottles and heal, or even once you clear that deck, board those ships. Again, double hold plank, up to you if you want to use it. Increases whole health by 5%. I prefer it. That extra 5% does come in handy sometimes, guys. Demi Cannon works. This is going to increase the elemental damage multiplier of Demi Cannons by 19%. We are using a fire-based Demi Cannon, so guess what, guys? We're getting that extra 19% on the elemental damage as well. And then the Demi Cannon Furnace. This is going to increase the maximum range of a Demi Cannon by 10%. I highly recommend it. Demi Cannons are kind of short range weapon. This is going to give you just a little bit more range on that. So that's how I'd set up a DPS ship. Now you may be wondering, okay, what do you do for a tank? That seems to be one of the biggest ships right now that people are building. And let me tell you, they're coming up some really awesome, just truly awesome ships. But I'm going to show you kind of what I like to use. And this is a proven build that I've used. I've put it in a video earlier, kind of talking a little bit about it and all. But when you're looking at stows, you're looking at tanks. Specialized in bracing against incoming damage, the tank excels in defense. So there is actually a piece of furniture that I want to pick up for this. It is called, let's see if we can bring that up into our journal. If not, I am going to have to run over to the blacksmith because I had marked it earlier. And here we go, journal. Oh, come on now. Apparently it is not going to show up in that group now. Okay, so let's run down here and I'll show you real quick. And remember, we want bracing and something else that you want to be able to do. So like you have that brigantine, and it does an extra 45% damage when you're hitting. Obviously you're bracing in during that. So this would work great for a brigantine, or definitely a snow when it comes to ramming. So we want to come into our schematics here, and it is called, let's find it. Maybe it was in our offensive. Where you at, baby? Come on now. You know, I wished I'd went and picked this thing up earlier. Okay, let me show you this piece of furniture too. If you are going to be using your tank to attack forts, means you're probably going to use the Mons Meg 3 because it's going to give you an additional 50% against structures. You definitely want to add that vat of volatiles on there. It's going to add another 15% on top of that. It's going to give you that 65% rating on those. So Ironcladding Station, that's what this is called. It increases damage from ramming by 25%, so great piece to put on those brigantines, guys. Also great piece to put on these tanks, because man, let me tell you, it is going to really up your game in there. And we're going to be adding some of these things into our tank here in the next few days. But I just wanted to kind of show you how you will piece these things together. So let's go back to our ship here. And we're going to go back to the snow. Okay, so it's going to recover brace strength 4% per second while bracing. A great piece of furniture I like to run with this is the water tank. The reason why is it's going to stretch out that brace time that you get using less stamina, so it's going to keep your stamina fuller. It's also going to increase your stamina recovery. So this ship itself does stamina recovery by 150%. It's pretty impressive. So let's go over and we're going to look at this piece of furniture that I highly recommend for this ship. You want to get the water tank. So what this is going to do is it is going to increase stamina recovery by another 20%. That's great. Reduces crew stamina depletion by 50% while bracing. Between this and the base stats that you're going to have on this ship, and then you want to pair that up with the Ouroboros armor. I'm going to show you why again. Armor, Ouroboros. Again, you're getting those negations on that, but also very important is you're restoring 50% of the whole health while you're bracing. Okay, so while you're bracing, you're going to be using less stamina because of the attachments we just talked about. Plus, you're going to be restoring that 15% of the health as well. If you use this Ouroboros armor on something like the Bark, you're going to have a beast. We're going to explain why. Again, man, like I say, I know the numbers on Black Prince, but if we're just going by those numbers there, let me ask you this. Why is everyone pushing Black Prince when you can actually come over here into the black market and you can start building this other armor that's going to have a 1250 rating on it? Now, it doesn't really have any extra stuff to it. Really, the Black Prince, in my opinion, does not have any extra stuff to that shield as well. But I'm going to show you this piece, and I imagine this is something you're going to start seeing in videos where people talk about it. But this is where you have to look at the stats of the weapon, but you also have to look at the armor or even weapons. But you also want to take a moment to look at the special effects that it has, you know, and everything's going to have that. So let's scroll way down here. So this is called the Gamba Kobe. It has a 1250 armor rating. It's like, oh wow, so it's got explosive 6%, flooding 40%, piercing 15%, reduces damage taken by flooding effects by 28%. Okay, decent stuff, higher rating. You're actually looking at a 380, it's dropped down. So you need to look at all the effects all together. It's nowhere near as high as the Black Prince. So when you come into the Wrath Award, you're looking at 1120, again 1200. It's got some pretty good stats, and some of them are okay on that one. Then you're adding the Venom Vengeance in there. It's 3,000 points of damage and depletes the crew stamina. Has a cooldown of 10 seconds. That's if you're bracing, so you're hitting them, they're hitting you. It's releasing that gas and it's messing them up. Then Brigantines, they hate that gas. It zaps the stamina immediately, and they're just kind of sitting there waiting for you to pick them apart. So like I say, you can't always just look at those base numbers. People get caught with chasing. I got to get my ship to a 12. I didn't know, like, all my ship is doing just amazing damage. So I seen a build earlier that was a Sambuck and it was a 12. And the reason it was a 12 is because they had put a double winch ballista on the front, which has absolutely no fire damage to it. They ended up putting the new Coronades on there, which have absolute no fire damage to it. Again, those are flooding cannons on that as well. And then on the back, they ended up putting a Mons Meg, which guess what, doesn't have much of a chance to cause an ablaze on there when it's coming to ships, but maybe a little bit when you're actually shooting at a actual fort. So some things to watch for there. That, in my opinion, guys, that's how you're going to build that tank up. You're going to build your furnitures with anything that's going to support bracing, recover bracing, and that is my opinion on building that tank. Now the ship that I want to show you here, so we done a build on this one time before and kind of showed you, but I wanted to show you some of the stuff on this. So this is going to restore, first off, support ship, meaning that you're going to aid friendly ships. It has a base stat that's going to automatically send healings even if you're not shooting a healing weapon at them to heal them. So that's really cool. But it's going to restore 0.5% of severe damage at 0.5% of whole health per second, as well as nearby friendly ships. Restores 15% of stamina, 10% of severe damage, and 60% more of the whole health on a friendly ship while using repair weapons. So you're getting a lot of really good base stats. that is actually increasing more of the healing. And then of course there is the furnitures that go in there, like the first aid station, that's going to help increase those heals as well. That's going to increase any kind of healing ability that you place on this ship. So why would you not run a healing armor like the Ouroboros on there? That's going to increase that 15% and multiply it with the other percentages of this, because like I said, you're getting 60% more whole health coming off those repair weapons, and even armor. That's still anything that's giving a repair out like Ouroboros is going to get that buff too. So you're going to be sitting there tanking for days. And again, put the water tank on this thing. That's going to give you that extra brace. If you're using this for forts, that's going to be a great build for forts. Wonderful things you can do now, because you don't have DPS on this ship or the snow really. What kind of weapon do you want to use? You may be asking. Well, that's going to be completely up to you at that point. So this here would be a good one. And even the snow, you would want to have something that's going to be close up, but you also want something where you can reach out there and touch them. So like the Mons Meg 3, it has a decent range. It's not going to be incredibly insane, but it's going to do massive damage against the walls. So Vada Volatiles go with that to get that extra 65%. Now maybe you decide, you know what, I want to make this a healer class. You don't want to load it up with healing weapons, so maybe you throw a healing mortar on there, repair 3, and that's going to help the ships plus the base stats heals that's on there. So what could you do for your weapons? Well, this is the type of ship, this in the snow is where you want to put that double winch ballista to get that massive DPS, because you're not getting any buffs off of those ships. So then you want to start using your stronger weapons on it. If you take the strongest weapons in the game and you put it on the Sandbuck and none of them have fire effects at all, you're benefiting yourself nowhere. I went against the Sandbuck today and he was shooting the double winch ballista. I'm assuming it's double winch. It was definitely a ballista. Shooting it, and every time I would brace, and I was in a Sandbuck, no damage. It would bust to shield, I'd get my healing, and I'd just start tearing into him, because the amount of time it says it's a 1 second reload, but understand that 1 second to reload, then you have to hold it to get the double winch pull on it to get that 600% bonus. You're moving around and you're hammering him real hard. You've done move to the sides and stuff, and anything they shoot you at, they're not getting the blaze effect. The great thing about the Sandbuck too, if they are in a bay and it's got those smaller ships and they're within the blast radius of him, shoot the smaller ships. It's going to cause a chain reaction. The blast radius is going to take the player out. If you get a player ship and it's built the way most of these ships are being advertised to be ran, if you cause a chain reaction, it causes 3 ships to blow up and he is in range of both all 3 of those explosions, it will take a player out immediately. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Three of those consecutive blasts in a chain reaction and he's in the zone of it, he's done. That's it. Toast. I don't talk about the Beddards and stuff much because honestly I don't have a whole lot of nice stuff to say. I was so glad to get out of the Beddard. I was even more excited to get out of the barge and of course the Hulk and stuff like that, and I don't think anybody really enjoyed their time in the Dow much, but you know, it's nice to be in these larger ships. So the Bark is a great ship. The Brigantine, you know, everybody's in Brigantines now. The thing that makes the Brigantine such a great ship is the fact that it has so much speed. I mean, you're talking 18 knots, and then if you use the water barrels and stuff, you're looking at 20 to 21 knots, and even the right wind conditions, catching those side drafts off of the landmass, you can speed this thing up to about 22 knots, not for a very long period of time, but in boost, so it makes it easy to escape people. That's why if you use a ship like the Sandbuck, go ahead and sacrifice the mortar for the floor. That way you can zap their stamina and catch them. Otherwise, you're just going to be chasing him. He's going to nail you from long range with those long nines. And again, when they're coming in, brace. I've never lost a mast or a sail unless you don't brace, and then you're pretty well screwed. And remember, the Brigantine, it chews through stamina really quick. You're getting about double the time with basic use of the Sandbuck, and you can get a little bit more if you play around with that some. So some great ideas to look at there, guys. But I hope this kind of shows you a little bit more of what you need to look at on building a ship and figuring out what kind of weapon to use on that. Maybe you want to look at some weapon stats while we're here, because we said, hey, how would you do the best weapon? Well, let's look real quick. So if we've got weapons here and we decide we want to do the twin winch ballista, so let's bring this up. So the weapon can be charged twice as long for increased damage and range. Maximum charge damage increases 600% at a range of 1,350 meters. So it's reaching out there and touching people. It really is. You're getting the 20% damage, piercing damage, increased damage to weak points by 75%. That's a great option to have on there too. But you're not getting anything with flame, ablaze, nothing with ablaze. So what would be the point of putting on a sandbuck? You would put that on one of those tanks. That's what you want to do. Of course, then you look at the Coronats, and this was another one of the weapons that they had on. So it's going to do Riptide, adds 50% of damage to severe damage when target is flooded. Is flooding one, adds 10% of damage, is flooding damage. Again, flooding damage. Do you see anything with fire? So again, that would be something you might want to use on a tank, not on the sandbuck. It's not going to work. So when you come up here and you look at this and you see, okay, this is going to adds 20% of damage, explosive damage, and a 35 milliliter blast. So you're getting that. That's pretty nice. It's going to add 10% of damage. It's burning damage. Well, that's going to set ablaze, guys. That's going to set stuff ablaze. It says shells sets targets ablaze. That's what it says directly up top. It says a destructive shell damaged multiple foes within a radius. It said incendiary shells set targets ablaze. So you're getting blaze effects. So I put that on the back so I got something a little bit of long range. That way if they're coming up behind me, I could be popping some rounds off on them. And even if you're hitting close to them, the radius effect of this explosion can set them on fire. Or you can set small ships near them on fire to cause those blaze effects and cause even more damage. Because remember, you're getting 5,000 every time you set that blaze effect. Then the Zamas, again, here we have increased charge rate of the vulnerable effect. Okay, so what does that mean? That is talking about your crew attacks. You're getting more crew attacks. It's increasing the charge rate of it by 50%. There's a little charge rate on there. When it fills up, you can do a crew attack, and you can do this about every second shot into a weak point. And let me tell you, it's hard to miss them because it's an up close and personal type of a firearm or a cannon here, guys. So you're going to get that. You're going to get a 20% damage of burning damage as well. That's going to add that in there. And you're going to get damage per shot 323. Then you're going to get that fire damage 600 of 64 increased. Weak point damage 165%. Projectile speed 400 meters per second. Ship size, it'll fit on any ship. I actually use this a lot. I love this weapon. So now when you come up and you're looking at, say, let me find the Mons here. That's a 2. I might actually have that Mons 3 equipped on another ship. Yeah, so Mons 3, you're looking at the perfect weapon against structures is exactly what it says. Increased damage to structures by 50%. So if you're using a tank and you're taking out those big walls on the mega forts, you want to use this. You also want to add the VATS volatile. That way you can add that additional 15%. It says 10% damage is explosive damage and a 30-meter blast. So you're going to get some explosive damage, but what you're not going to get is that blaze effect. You're not going to be able to set things on fire because there's no fire damage coming off of this. So it would not. It does do good as far as piercing ships and stuff. I'm not going to say it's not a good thing to put on the boat because it's not going to mess around. It's going to pierce right into it. But what you're going to want to do is make sure that you don't fill this all the way around on your tank. You want to be able to fight something off of you if you need to. Typically what we do is we'll put Mons on the bow or maybe on one of the sides and come in and keep the bow and the aft sections ready to fight for that stuff in front and behind it, and some cannons off the side. And like I say, that's totally up to you how you decide to do it. What you want to do is make sure that you're looking at, is this the top notch of those weapons I can use? Yes. Okay. But what everyone's looking at is purple. They go, well, this is 120, so this has got to be a stronger weapon. And then they throw it on a sandbuck, and you've basically removed the reason for using a sandbuck in the first place. So these types of weapons for tanks, DPS ships such as the Brigantine that doesn't have those special effects like the Ablaze, you could put this on there and it would be a good option to do. So yeah, get those to 12s. But right now I'm not seeing any fire weapons, any fire-based weapons that's going to bring the sandbuck to a true 12. You will have it and at 12 by the rating and the rating only, and it will not be giving you those nice boosts and kicks that you had grown accustomed to using the fire weapons. So kind of hope that helps with this. Picking the best ships, picking the best weapons, picking the best armor that's out there, the best furnitures. That's the big thing in Skull and Bones, man. It's like any other RPG game that's out there. I know that everyone has their preferred type. So like the Darnell's weapon. So we did pick it up. It's an Ottoman weapon. It actually, let's see, I think it may have, yeah, again, it is a explosive weapon. So yeah, you could probably use this to hit some walls. You can knock some ships. I mean, it'll rock a ship real good. So maybe that's something you put on the front of one of those snows, or even the bark. Or you could even put it on the front of the brigantine if that's something you wanted to do. Understand you're obviously going to be limited on range. It seems like the range of this is 550 meters as opposed to some of your long guns that you're going to be able to get. I don't typically use long guns. These are some repairs we got. That way we can run some missions together on Discord, guys. But it's going to be dependent upon your stuff. But don't buy into the hype and get caught into, well, it all has to be purples, and then you start putting weapons that don't match the stats of a ship on there, man. That's where you're going to mess up. So be careful when you're building out your build out. Make sure that you're looking at the furnitures and stuff. So there is furniture in here. Let's see if we can find it. So they have a munitions mixer. So what this is going to do is going to increase duration of flooded and ablaze effects. That's cool, right? And enemy ships by 100%. But it reduces the damage dealt by those effects by 30%. So it's not something I really run. You have signal gongs and stuff that's going to increase damage 15% after a crew attack for 30 seconds. So that's pretty cool. After you do a crew attack, you're getting a 15% increase on the damage you're putting out. So something like that could be pretty cool for it. First aid station is going to increase repair amount of repair weapons 30% for ships with less than 33% whole health as well. So that's something you're going to look at. You can, if you've got a buddy, he's like almost dead, you hit it, it's going to increase the amount of heals that it does on there as well. So that's good for those bark repair ships, for those who like to do it. This here is reduce damage taken 15% and increase threat generation by 100% when anchored. So that's something you need to think about too. Reducing damage taken by 15%. You can throw that into a tank and drop anchor and be shooting. Obviously you want to put something like a balanced mast or light mast to give you more acceleration off of that point to take back off of that line so you can get out of range of those mortars and stuff. But it's going to give you it's going to give you a 15% bonus on taking damage. So you just have to look and see what works for you on the game. But this is how I piece my ships together. So scoping station, it says if you hit a target more than 320 meters away, it applies the marked status. Targets with marked status take 100% more damage to weak points. So this is something that you would use with those longer range weapons, maybe a bombard. It's not something you're going to want to put on with a ZAM. Let's see what that ZAM actually shoots as far as range here. So this is a 275 meter weapon. So it wouldn't pay you to use that with that. Now, if you were using fire bombard, yeah, you have a chance of really boosting up some stuff for that furniture. So again, folks, when building your ship, don't just chase, well, I got to get it to 12 and cripple the ship for what it was designed to be. That is one of the worst things that I have seen in all types of RPGs over the years. This isn't my first MMORPG. This is actually one I've been waiting on for, I think it's been about 11, 12 years now, somewhere around in there. And I am so glad this game is here. I'm loving it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think some of the stuff that people are complaining about is kind of childish. Is they don't fully understand some of the mechanics of the game. So that's what I want to do is explain that in these videos, because I want to see this game succeed, and I want to see y'all on the water with us, because man, there is so much fun that's going to be had in this game, and there is so many things coming. They update us every now and then on what they call the deck The deck is actually Ubisoft. It's a bunch of the developers that they're playing the game with us so they can keep up with what's going on. People talk about it's getting too hard to come up with silver to fund my facilities and stuff. Well, these guys are actually in there and they're building stuff along with you, and they seem like they're pretty honest about what they're seeing in the game, and they're fixing some of the issues. And I think that they're starting to see, hey, maybe we need to start releasing some new content just a little bit quicker. So they talked about moving some things up. We're going to wait and see what that happens, but we're looking at a fleet management system that originally sounded like it might have been an aspect of PvP. It still could be. It's going to be something where to get your pieces of 8, you can either pick them up or have them picked up. Now, I don't know if that means that you're building the fleet, kind of like you did with Kenway's fleet in Black Flag, where you pick the ships that are going to be running those things, so you would build them in this game, obviously. Or if it's going to be something where for so much silver or so much pieces of 8 or something, you could have it run it for you. I don't know. But it did sound, now they didn't come straight out and say it, but it sounded like it was going to be one of those things where you need to think very carefully about if you want it to send those fleets out to pick your 8s up. It almost sounded like it would be a situation where your ships are going out and they're collecting 8s, but it makes them a target that's open to other players who can come in and raid it. I'm hoping that's what it is, because let me show you something, man. If they do that, there's so many people that they've got the red isle. I think pretty much everybody has at this point. But there is a long distance between these points all the way up. And what we're going to do, if that is the case, we will find out where these ships are going, because we're going to follow our ships when they go to make their collections. And then we're going to wait and see if we see a player ship in the same area. If we do and the player's not following with their ships, there's fast travels along here where we can call our guys in, and I can amass anywhere between 9 to 13 guys, depending on server space, at any moment, because we have a very large Discord group right now. We're close to 200 active members. Now, understand when I say active members, they're actively playing the game. They may not always be in chat. They may not always be texting into stuff, but they are always looking to jump in and fight with you. So that's going to be something cool to watch out for and see how that comes about. So yeah, we have reached this point. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. Most of our guys are headed into work, but we will start within about an hour and a half to 2 hours. We'll start trickling in our UK members, and that's one of the groups that I play with the most, because I'm a kind of a night owl anyway. We're going to be have more people coming in, which will be good. So you have a world filled with 17 people as well. It's going to be a pretty fun experience with whatever it is that they decide to bring our way. So I hope you've been having a wonderful week, man. I know Monday was probably rough for most people coming in after weekend of playing the game. I am so grateful to be out of that daily grind. I worked maintenance for so many years in large facilities and stuff, big factories, and while I would not trade those experiences for anything, I am glad to be in a situation where I have finally retired, and I'm telling you, it's been awesome for me. I've been waiting on this game for before I even retired. Years had went by, and then when I finally retired, I was like, man, if that game would come out, that'd be great. And I'd hear a little bit of news. You'd have to search around and find a little squeak of some news. It's like, okay, it sounds like it's going to be just a little bit longer. And then I remember I started when I had signed up with Ubisoft to do any kind of testing they wanted. They have a little thing on their webpage where you can sign up for beta test, technical test. They'll get you set up in there. And I remember getting a technical test for this game, and it was just amazing. Now, the map looked totally different. The map actually had all this blotted out, and all of this was open up here at the time. So I'm expecting that's still going to come. But this was a PvE area, which is player versus everything, which means when you're down here, you're tootling around, picking your stuff up, blowing up your NPC ships, and you see another pirate, you shoot your fireworks, everybody waves at everybody. If you're not running Helm Wager or Takeover, there's no PvP aspect. Well, if you're up here, you're tootling around, you're dealing with NPCs, and a player sees you, and there's fleets. I'm hoping they bring the in-game fleets in pretty soon. If not, we still mass our guys in pretty quick. We're still operating as a fleet with our guys. If you've ever watched our videos, you've seen where we come in and we'll just like fill the sea up. We've had massive battles where we brought in the plague crews right in front of St. Anne, like right here in this area right in here, man, and just have it jammed full of ships. And that makes it easier so you can swing in, especially the guys in the brigantines, you can swing into the safe zone, drop off your cargo, and get right back into the battle. So that was really cool to be able to do that with our Discord guys. But yeah, again, man, building ships, not hard. How to build the best ship, you need to figure out your gameplay, what it is you want to do. I will tell you, being a DPS ship right now, that blaze effect is great crowd control, meaning if you're fighting a key boss and you have those other ships that are a little tougher than the typical ship that's in the game, but they're also not, impenetrable. You can target those and it'll do damage to the boss ship as well as the other ships. And typically, it's a little harder to set ablaze to the actual boss ship to get that effect using it. But those little healers that they have traveling around with them, the DMC convoys and stuff like that, you can hit those healers. It's going to cause a blaze effect. They travel so close, it's just going to spread from one ship to next ship to next ship to next ship, and it's going to take that stuff out pretty quick. So that's always a wonderful, great thing. Again, make sure you're hitting them in the weak points. I'm noticing that the DMC ships seem to be getting larger. I don't know exactly what they would be called as far as what whole class and stuff, but I have noticed on the double winch ballista that it does say for medium and large holes. So we are going to get those large ships at some point. We just have to keep hanging in there. And until then, just keep grinding. You want to keep grinding up that rank. You're not working toward infamy rank for nothing, okay? So we're at Kingpin 47 right now. Haven't done a whole lot with that today, but we're going to bring that on up as much as we can. But if you remember, the infamy system had to do with what ships you can use and win. Well, while it'll be Kingpin from here on out, my understanding is that the large holes are going to require a higher Kingpin than Kingpin 1. And I'm just guessing, but my guess is it's probably going to be around a 50. Just because they've given us so much time to do it. Now, when you're looking at these infamy ratings, man, I mean, they go way, 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 way on up. I mean, just insane the amount of infamy ratings that they have, and it just keeps going, guys. It's like the Energizer Bunny. It keeps going and going and going and going and going, and we're going to hop out of that right there. So, but that's how you do it. That is how you build your ship. That is how you pick the ship that you want to use. You can look at my video, and if you are someone who prefers shooting long distance and you're accurate with those guns, then you're probably going to look at my build and go, I think I'd rather those long cannons, the long guns that shoot fire. And hey, man, that's a great option if you can hit those spots. Now, if you're someone that you like to shoot those, but you're not really hitting weak spots, you're not going to be setting those blaze effects as well. So, again, see what you can hit with. I don't know what your gameplay is. Should you use DPS or some sort of a tank build or some kind of a healer build? That's going to be up to you as what your preference is. But I did give you some pretty good idea stats here that you can build off of for your ships. And again, do the research yourself, look at the numbers, look at those specialty effects that it's going to give you, because that is what's going to seriously up your game in PvP if you're running Helm wagers and stuff like that. So again, I'm going to mention it in this video here because I get asked this question every time I post a video. Where did you get the hat and where did you get the jacket? So this hat I got over at Lenitra. It has a matching jacket. It kind of has that greenish crocodile hide. It does have a matching jacket for it that has on the back, it's got the same color as the Plague Fleet, but it looks like a Mosasaur head, or that Zamaharabu or the Talarosaurus head, and it glows yellow or green. Where do you get the jacket that I'm wearing? You're going to get it right here. You're going to get it from Blackwood. You're going to go in and you're going to talk to him and you're going to run the missions that he's given you. I've already ran the mission, obviously. So that mission is actually called the Pursuing Plague. And what that's going to do is going to have you destroy 2 plague hunters. There's 2 ships. To find a plague hunter, you have to find the ships in pest control, which is still available to be used, guys, in the missions. But pest control is where you look for that little Bedard. You destroy him. Well, when you destroy him and you grab that head, the first few ships that come at you are hunters. Sink them. Grab the cargo from 2 of them. It's going to give you these little helm pieces that you come in and bring back to Blackwood here. And he's going to give you this jacket. So that's how you get that, folks. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscription. Check out our videos. We've got all kinds of tips how to find that silver as far as getting where you're going to build an infinite silver supply. It will always have silver coming in. But understand, you've got to work it. It's not going to be as hard of a grind as some of these videos where they're showing that you buy from a location over at the Dutchman's Camp or Dutchman's Cave. Let's see what it's called. It is called the Dutchman's Camp. You go in there and you can buy pictures and stuff like that, and then they tell you refresh the server, then buy them again, then refresh the server, then buy them again, then refresh the server, then buy them again. Well, if you're on I don't know for you computer guys, but on the Xbox, it could take 2 to 3 minutes to get in there. So if you're sitting there and you want to hit this thing 20 times and it's taking you 3 minutes to leave and come back, you're looking in an hour. And at 20 times, you might get an average. It's going to go up and it's going to go down. It's going to average about 10 of those paintings that sell for so much, and then the other stuff that you're going to get. And is it really worth it? I don't think so. So make sure you check out that video on our infinite silver supply. We're going to tell you how to do that. But y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you for your time, and definitely comment, if you want to see certain builds. If you got some questions about furniture or something, let me know, man. We will put it on the ship and we will do some live tests with it before you have to go and buy that stuff. I understand there's a lot of different types of weapons and stuff in the black market, a lot of different things that are in there right now that people are like, I hate to spend it because they don't have the pieces of 8 to do it, because they don't have a very expansive business empire here yet. I mean, we're pulling in 1,400 on each of these banks. So it's getting pretty nice for us. We're doing a total haul of just under 3,000 pieces of 8 per hour. And I keep these things charged up all day and all night. So we're bringing that stuff in. You're looking at my piece of 8 going, he's only got like 600 or 6,962 pieces of 8. Well, the reason for that is I'm also upgrading all of the helm missions on there as well. That's in that other video, guys. Upgrading helms, that's going to be the big thing. Now, you don't want to upgrade them too early. You want to make sure you've got at least 5 level 5s before you start bringing that up, because it is going to get very expensive. But y'all have a wonderful day.